Inflation means price go up over time. We measure it by looking at the average price of things people buy. It happens because of supply and demand, money in the country, and how business compete. A small amount of inflation is normal and good for the economy, but if price go up too fast, it can be hard for small business to survive. There are three main types of inflation. First, demand pull inflation. This happens when many people want to buy things, but there are not enough supply to meet the demand. As a result, price go up because sellers know buyers are still willing to pay more. Second, cost push inflation. It's occur when the cost of production increase, such as higher wages or more expensive raw materials. To maintain profit, business raise the price of their goods or service. Third, built-in inflation. This happens when the workers ask for higher wages because the cost of living has increased. When companies agree to raise wages, they also raise price to cover the extra costs. This creates a cycle where wages and price keep rising together. Inflation is not only a problem in Malaysia, it's happening all around the world. After COVID 19, many countries started to reopen their economy. People want to buy more things, but the supply is still low. This make price go up. Also, the pandemic caused problems in transport and supply chains. The price of oil has also increased, making transport more expensive. Because of that, many goods now cost more around the world. Since the year 2000, global inflation has changed many times because of big events such as the 2008 financial crisis, the COVID 19 pandemic, and the war between Russia and Ukraine. These events caused many problems like supply shortage and higher cost of goods. After 2020, countries like the United States and the United Kingdom saw their highest inflation rates in many years. This happened because of weak supply chains and too much government spending. In Europe, inflation went up mainly because of rising energy price. Malaysia also faced the effects of global inflation as a country that depends on imported goods like food, oil, and other daily needs. Price in Malaysia have gone up too. This situation is called imported inflation. It makes the cost of living higher and can affect the country's economic stability and well-being of its people.
I will continue my part for global inflation factors and current issue. It has four global inflation factors. For the first one is trade policies and tariff. The current issue can relate with it. In 2024, the United States increases tariff on China goods such as EV batteries, semiconductors, and solar panels. This has forced global retailers to spread cost increases across markets like the EU and the UK. The impact of it lies higher import prices and cost of living rises in multiple countries. Number two is energy and commodity prices. The current issue can be related. Oil prices have surged due to geopolitical tensions such as the Gaza-Israel conflicts, Iran-US tensions, and sanctions on OPEC countries. Oil producers are also limiting supply to control the market. The impact of it can increase transportation, logistic, and freight costs. Energy inflation hits all importing nations hard. For example, Malaysia, Indonesia, EU countries. So the third one is supply chain disruptions. Lingering effects of COVID-19 still affect global production and delivery. The Ukraine-Russia war and sanctions have delayed global shippings. Attack in the Red Sea by Houthi rebels have also disrupted shipping routes. Its impact of shortage of essential goods like wheat, fertilizers, and microchips. Higher production and retail costs make drivers inflation also. The last one is about market speculation and price manipulation. The current issue that can relate about it is large traders and investors manipulate global prices of oil, food, and metal. Excessive speculation in commodity markets inflates prices without real demand or supply issues. The impact is market price.
Now I'm going to talk about the impact of inflation to the global market. The first impact of inflation is rising on commodity and import prices. Inflation is often driven by rising price of essential commodity like food, oil and metal. For example, in 2022, conflict between Ukraine and Russia combined with post-COVID demand recovery caused global food price to surge by 60%, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO). Developing countries like Egypt and Pakistan, which rely heavily on import, will hit the hardest. Their local currency depreciate, making dollar price good even less affordable. This led to wider trade deficit and internal inflation, further straining their economies. Even advanced economies weren't separate. US gasoline price reached record high, showing how interconnected and valuable global market are to such shock. The second impact of inflation is changes in monetary policies. To combat inflation, central banks often raise interest rate. The US Federal Reserve, for instance, increased rate by 525 basis points, equal to 5.25% in 2022 to 2023. While this aims to control domestic prices, it has international repercussions. Investors pull over $100 billion from emerging markets to seek a higher return in US dollar assets. Countries like Ghana and Zambia with dollar-dominated debt face severe repayment stress. Meanwhile, the euro fell by 50% against the dollar as the European Central Bank (ECB) adopt a slower rate hike approach compared to the US Federal. Smaller economies now face a tough choice whether to raise rates to fight inflation or to keep them low to protect financial stability. The third impact of inflation can be seen in the speed and activity of financial market. Inflation dramatically reshaped financial market. In 2022, the Nasdaq dropped by 30%. It was the worst performance since the 2008 crisis, while global bonds fell by 16%. Traditional diversification strategies failed, leaving investors scrambling for safer options. Now, the demand for inflation-protected bonds surged by 40%, and central bank bought gold at the fastest rate since 1991. Even cryptocurrencies, one often as inflation hedge, proved by Bitcoin lost over half of its value. The last impact of inflation is reduction in consumer demand. When prices rise faster than wages, consumers cut back. In Eurozone, retail sales dropped for 5 straight quarters. In Turkey, inflation hit by 85%, forcing households to spend over 16% of their income on basic, reducing overall spending by 9%. Global car sales fell by 3% in 2022, and companies like Unilever shift 30% of their product to cheaper alternatives. Lower demand hurt businesses and slow global growth, especially in export demand economies.
Inflation is a major issue faced by many countries today, but Islam offers practical and ethical solutions. Firstly, trade policies. Islam teaches the trade must be fair and beneficial to all parties. When powerful countries or blocs like EU impose high tariff, it causes price to rise globally. To solve this, Muslim countries should form trade agreements based on Islamic principles to avoiding exploitation and ensuring fairness. This agreement help reduce dependence on unstable and costly international market. Muslim nations should also strengthen trade among themselves. By doing this, they can cut costs, boost the halal industry, and support each other's economies. Creating special trade zones, reducing tariff, and sharing logistics can make trade more efficient and reduce inflation from the start. Secondly, energy commodity price. Islam views natural resources like oil and gas as a trust for the community, not just a source of profit. This resource should be managed fairly through cooperation among Muslim countries. Leaders are seen as caretakers who must act in a public interest. Through shura or consultation, countries can achieve more stable energy price and avoid inflation caused by fuel costs. Finally, investing in clean and sustainable energy is both a smart and Islamic approach. Islam teaches us to care for the earth and avoid waste. By relying more on solar and wind energy, countries can reduce their exposure to violate oil, oil price and create long-term price stability. This also ensures future generations are protected from inflation and environmental harm. Another solution for supply chain disruption and market speculation and manipulation. During recent global crises like the COVID-19 pandemic, the danger of relying too much on international supply chain became clear. Islam encourages self-reliance and preparedness, so Muslim countries should focus on producing essential goods like food and medicine locally and using a wide range of suppliers. This strengthens economic independence and protects against inflation caused by supply disruption. Islamic teaching also promote the use of fair financial contracts such as mudarabah and wakalah, which help businesses share risk honestly and cooperatively. This contract allow for flexibility and trust, keeping goods and price stable even during this difficult time. Another key issue is market manipulation. Inflation is often driven by hoarding and unfair pricing, both of which strictly prohibited in Islam. The Islamic system of Hisbah once ensured market operated with honesty and fairness, a principle that remain vital today. Monetary trade ethics prevent fraud and ensuring fair pricing and reduce manipulation and protect the people. Islam also discourages unproductive speculation and promote real economic activities like farming, manufacturing, and construction. These sectors create genuine value and help build a long-term economic stability. In conclusion, by applying Islamic principles, fairness, responsibility, and community welfare, Muslim nations can fight inflation more effectively, promoting ethical trade, managing resources wisely, supporting productive industry, and using Islamic financial tools, all part of a building a just and resilient economy for the future.